What's up, everybody? Back at it here. Just waiting for the space fam to trickle in. We got Jupiter in view. Beautiful shot tonight. It finally cleared up a little bit, so I figured let's go live. 10:51 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to talk about some stellar metamorphosis tonight. We'll take a look at Jupiter for a little bit starting here, and then go over to the moon. The moon's looking really beautiful, waning tonight at, what is it? The 80%. Came up real quick. 90%. So yeah, waning gibbous, looking kind of sharp. We got a little mist in the air. We'll see how it goes. Connection is finally doing great tonight, so no glitches, thankfully. Tracking, of course, is a little bit iffy. But yeah. So, starting off with some tunes here. And say what's up in the chat if you're showing up. Make sure to hit 4K and share the video. We're going for a couple hours tonight, as long as the weather is nice. So yeah, Jupiter looking great. What was I going to say? Bottom left corner, Ganymede. Then right next to it, Europa, Io, top right, Callisto. And try and get a little bit of detail on Jupiter as well. Keep going with the tracks here. Started off with Golden. Let's play some... this track called Full of Life. Say what's up to Space Case Jace. What's going on? Arum Borax. Is that dope electric vibe tune channel? It certainly is. You've made it to the right place. So it's gonna lurk. Awesome. Astralis, what's happening? You can't share. That's weird. I don't know. It should be able to, but Oh, you can't share a link in the chat? I don't think I can do that, but yeah, let me know. Vibe Shift has oldies on by the light of the silvery moon. Yeah, I think the moon, actually I'm going to switch over there real quick before we lose it behind these clouds. It was clear for a second, but yeah. So, got a lot to blab about, but I wanted to make sure the connection was working. I think I figured out what was going on, and now it's solid green. Make sure you hit that 4K and let me know if it's buffering at all, but looks pretty good tonight. That's a little bit of a relief. Last show was just so annoying. I appreciate everybody bearing with me on that. It's called Of the Water. What's up, what's up? I see Gnostic Chef and NGC hopping in. I took off without you. Not too long. I just figured I'm going to catch it before, like, Jupiter and the Moon rose really quickly tonight. It kind of took me by surprise. I thought it was another hour before it would come up, but nope, popped up, and then Jupiter was like racing off. So I set up and I think I figured out the whole connection buffering issue. So I feel like it's going to be a very smooth stream tonight. But that's funny still. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're still about... I hopped off right off to Jupiter just because we're going to lose it soon. Set it up. The earlier shot was all the moons. Looking very nice in alignment. Callisto off on its own. And then right here getting a little bit of a zoomed in shot. This is the 8-inch. Camera direct to scope. It's not too bad. It's not great. Lots of atmospheric haze and such. So not the best shot of Jupiter, but we can see some of the bands. Counter-rotating currents. Loved all the comments from the last video, except for one, but most of them were really nice. Jeffrey left me a comment. Jeffrey Walensky, champion of the stellar metamorphosis theory, general theory of stellar metamorphosis. I think one of the coolest things I've found in a long time, pretty much since I found Thunderbolts Project. I think, yeah, definitely amazing stuff. The more I read, the more I rather listen to his videos and read some of his papers, I'm just getting a better grasp on the concept. I'll share more of it, but I actually left him a comment kind of agreeing with his ideas about just a couple of things. But wow, I mean, he said there's a video of his where he's kind of saying, well, I don't really agree with Pierre-Marie Robitaille, Sky Scholar, and Thunderbolts Project, Wal Thornhill in specific, about these couple of concepts. And I was just like, what is it really specifically? So I went back and started looking up these videos. So I found the one that he's talking about, and it's very interesting. So if you don't know the stellar metamorphosis stuff and you're just stumbling upon the video, please check out Jeffrey Walensky and the stellar metamorphosis theory. Pretty much if you type it into YouTube, you'll find his videos and the videos that I've made the past couple of weeks. It's really incredible what a powerful, simple, holistic theory presented in extreme detail with tons of supporting evidence is completely buried. I'm trying to do a little bit of work to get the word out there, but definitely check out Jeffrey's channel. But yeah, he makes a couple of points. One being that I'm just going to simplify it, but Sky Scholar, Pierre-Marie Robitaille, talks about a condensed matter sun. So in the model that he's presenting, stellar metamorphosis theory, the sun is basically younger than Earth, and it's starting to become condensed matter, but it's not exactly completely condensed matter, because he proposes that it's actually gaseous plasma that ultimately becomes condensed matter. And so Pierre-Marie Robitaille basically kind of sweepingly calls the sun, our sun, condensed matter, and so Jeffrey takes kind of issue with that, which is actually a fair point. And then the other one was that there's mass and luminosity constraints, which is just that over time, a star, as it loses mass, it also loses brightness or luminosity. And if you look at the stellar metamorphosis model, it makes perfect sense as to how that would be the case, because the brightest stars are born in a flash, and over time, when they become an Earth, for example, they no longer glow. And logically, if you just, and there is also other supporting evidence, but logically, if you kind of follow the process, it would make sense that you'd have the white dwarf, extremely bright white star, then it would be blue, then I think it would just go through all these phase transitions and ultimately end up as a water planet like Venus or like Neptune or Uranus, not Venus. And then a water world would be a precursor to an Earth that we live on today. And therefore, but an Earth from a distance in space is probably not shining brightly like a star, even though it could have been, and very likely was, the core of a star. I see Ellie Wynn. Hello, Space Fan. Hello, Spaceling. Hope you're doing well. And a purr to the cats. A little purr to the cats. Wingsley, in specific. Yeah, just starting off here with a little bit of stellar metamorphosis. So yeah, so Wal Thornhill talks about what would he take? He took issue with a specific point, which was yes. So in electric universe cosmology, at least proposed on Thunderbolts Project, they believe that there is not a direct correlation between mass of a star and its luminosity. I didn't really follow it up exactly, but I definitely have heard Wal Thornhill make some more general points about stars, and I feel like Jeffrey is trying to make a very poignant, nuanced hypothesis about the evolution of stars and how you can't just say it's all condensed matter, because it's not necessarily all condensed matter. Even if at some point stars after, I guess, a brown dwarf, and you get to Jupiter, which is very is it poignant? It's not poignant. It's just serendipitous that we're looking at Jupiter, which is a brown dwarf. And in this case, Jupiter was a star that has lost atmosphere, that has lost axial inertial momentum, so spin, but also adheres to a lot of the electric universe stuff, which is counter-rotating currents. So that's why you have these aurora at the poles of Jupiter. You also have these swirling laminar flows of currents that band around Jupiter, one going one way, another going the other way. So following a bunch of the models, like, for example, Don Scott's electric star model, but also the stuff we don't see here is the electromagnetic geomagnetic field, the geometry, the toroidal shapes, the donut. Funnily enough, just shout out to Buddy, because I ended the stream last one. I felt really hyped about what I was talking about. And then I went to the Thunderbolts Project, and Buddy James has put out this absolutely amazing, like one of the best videos he's done about donuts. Talks about so many different topics, though, so if you haven't seen it, please check it out. But double whammy, talking about stellar metamorphosis, holistic theory of consciousness, and then to go see another like kick-ass video on Thunderbolts Project. Felt good. What's happening, Easy E? Nice to see you. Yeah, Jupiter is kind of clearing up, right? I'm just keeping it steady here, so I feel like as the clouds move, we'll get a little bit more detail on the banding. So yeah, so essentially if Jupiter was a star, which I'm starting to really feel like this theory is very, very stable conceptually. So Jupiter the star is now Jupiter the brown dwarf, but it's really a phase shift of a star, right? So it's not different than a star, it's just a star at a different point in its life. And it's such a cool theory because we see that in real life with people and animals. We see animals and people of different ages. And therefore we would see a bunch of planets in our solar system at different ages, and we can learn a lot from it. So, let's see, Ellie says, the cats are doing okay, and thank you for very much for asking, of course. Wingsley is wondering why I put 2 more cat carriers, but there's a move. Oh yeah, you have to not think about it at all. The cats, Wingsley is definitely feeling it. But I hope you find a better place than you're in. I know that it's been difficult and dangerous in certain cases. Good luck. Hope it's good. Yeah, you'll have to join and tell us about it from the new spot. So, let's see. Or maybe Wingsley's like, are you moving complete neighborhoods? Maybe he's thinking about like changing up his route. Oh, landlord stuff, yeah, I feel that. Gosh. All right, so let me adjust this image a little bit. I feel like it's cleared. So Jupiter, the brown dwarf, on its way to potentially becoming a Saturn-type object, and then ultimately a water world, cooling off, spinning slower. Lots of complexity happening now, and here's where it would be forming a central core. It would start after this point, I believe, and like work its way towards the point where we ultimately live on the core of this star, which is Earth. Another thing I found that Jeffrey was talking about, which is this phenomenon that is agreed upon in the mainstream, but no one really has an idea, because if you rewind a few billion years, Earth must have been a water planet. and you find some of these articles, you find, and I'm just, a lot of the stuff right now I'm kind of paraphrasing still and simplifying, trying to remember all the things he's talked about, but Earth being a water planet is pretty much what we have fossil records of. And the complexity of life emerging from Earth when Earth was ready, like we're in a universe that peoples, you know, so Earth peopled. and that's why we're here. And it actually lends it's a lot of, it's a wonderful foundation to discover new things, to not wonder why, well, you can still wonder why there's consciousness, but to have a really fundamental understanding as to why consciousness emerged, the set of situations and the complexity of the nature of the universe necessitated consciousness, and consciousness is there to perceive its creator, which is the self. So really, really cool how you can incorporate Zen ideology, electric universe, and other things, and consciousness as fundamental, panpsychism, and bring it all together, as well as understand it through the lens of stellar metamorphosis and fill in a ton of gaps. So if Earth was a water world, then you realize why you have all these fossils that should have been underwater at the tops of mountains, for example. And so pretty much all our mountain ranges, a lot of them may or must have in this model, but may have been completely submerged in a very thick ocean with a very thick atmosphere. And Earth is now kind of in stages far beyond that, where the atmosphere is thinned, the atmospheric pressure has changed, and you have this very advanced fractal breakout of consciousness of animals, plants, of insects. Think about the complexity of insects outlining the geometric fundamental nature of our reality. But how many insects come from the same toroidal field? It's fantastic, and it all operates similarly with all the variation possible. Truly unique and holistic. So let's get some tunage up in here. Keep the vibes going. Which track am I going to play? Let's see. Maybe it's a surprise. Probably a surprise. Trying to adjust this Jupiter as well. I think I can get some more detail out. Oh, that's a glitchy track. I think it was definitely a surprise, but I don't know if it's... I gotta pause it right here before it gets too wild. Just want to hop in and say what's up to Bo Theory. Correct me if I'm wrong, did I see you comment in on Jeffrey's videos, or are you talking about stellar metamorphosis? maybe I'm wrong, but you say, so Bow Theory says, it all follows a natural logarithmic expansion. I wrote a paper on it and will be working with Ramon C. on the next iteration of cosmic rearrangement. I dig that. I know, I think I was on a show once with Ramon on Electric View. Maybe I'm wrong, but right, tonight, yeah, with all the data in my mind, maybe I'm misplacing things, but welcome Bow Theory regardless, and that sounds awesome. If you're talking about integrating stellar metamorphosis. Ellie Wynn says, at the new place they're very, very pet friendly, and so I hope that it'll be a good change, and after I get there I will say more in the meantime, but let's hope my hair stays on my head. Love that. Well, good. Okay, says my work is similar. All right, cool. Yeah, he chats with Buddy on Electric View. I'm digging it. And I love Buddy's latest video, like I said, on Thunderbolts, really excellent. The donut. I think about it sometimes. I say Taurus and Tori, and some people are like, what are you talking about? So donut is a great way to really interpret it, or to label it so people can grasp a little more easily. Let's see. So gonna put a track here. I think we've lost Jupiter to clouds, or maybe my windowsill. Regardless, got a little bit of view on Jupiter tonight. Some of the banding got to talk about the brown dwarf status and how ultimately Jupiter might end up a habitable Earth planet, which is really cool. In a billion and a half, wait, what is it, like 4.5 billion years or so? I don't know, 3.7 some odd billion years. So Jeffrey's also still working on this theory. I don't want to be like bringing his theory over, porting it over, and saying everything Jeffrey's saying is gospel, because he's definitely still working on it. I'm just trying to absorb it, digest it, and also propose some ideas that I've had about electric universe, collective consciousness, all this stuff, and kind of riff on it, you know how I do. Let's move over, let's get back to, oh, there's a little bit of Jupiter. Did I go? I think I went too far with the filter. Wait. What was that all about? I guess I definitely went too far with the filter. Pro Theory says, donuts and bubbles for sure. I'm going to propose the Hubble constant is actually the bubble constant. I love that. That's excellent. I mean, look, I feel like if people saw these videos where you see bubble, not bubble packing, circle packing, but bubble geometrics, you get to see really this structure of the universe. It's such a cool thing, and there are not very many videos, but I did actually want to share something, which I will be updating. Perfect segue. This is a playlist called, let's see, share, copy, bubble. All right. This is a new playlist I've made called Notable, or it's actually now called Master References List. And so the first video, Planetary Evolution, The Message to Neil Adams. This is a Jeff Walensky video. The next one is The Nature of the Biofield with Eileen McCusick. Third one, Sky Scholar, just his latest video about the Japanese astronomers and the black hole image and his determinations there. Fourth one, Unziker's Real Physics, Alexander Unziker, talking about all these different all the different great scientists, the notable scientists, their theories, why he thinks some are good, some are bad. He's doing a lot of the really, I don't want to say tedious work, I'm sure it's actually helping him tremendously and others, but I'm sure going back through all the different mathematical theorems and also the different proposals of these cult, not cult in a negative way, but like cultural scientists, scientific archetypes and idols, and really dissecting what they've said and all their books and all their, I don't say all of it, but a lot of it. A lot more than I've really seen out there, and keeping an open mind about it. Fifth one, Dyslexic Artist Theory on the Physics of Time. So this cat is actually, I think, pretty brilliant as well. kind of that aha moment too. So he talks about the frame of reference and the photon-electron coupling as the dipole moment. A lot of when I talk about what I think of consciousness is being shell, self and other, or point and shell, it comes from nuclear theory, but it also comes a little bit from this guy's proposals of how it all works. Just listen to it. It's highly complicated in some ways, but if you watch a few of them, it'll make sense. I see Jay Pershing, what's going on? Fantasy Ecstasy, what's happening? Jay Pershing, I answered one of your comments. I didn't see the slew of them, but please leave more. I forget this guy. Not forget, but not sure exactly what this guy's name is. But like I was saying, I shared a playlist in the chat that I'm working on. It's called the Master References List, and I'm going through just what the videos are and who they are. But it's a compendium of the people that I talk about on the shows. So I know a lot of people are like, "What? Who's that? What are you talking about?" So if you follow these rabbit holes, you'll see where I get all my jazz from. So after Dyslexic Artist Theory on the Physics of Time, you got a random channel that has Halton ARP Intrinsic Redshift. And what's cool is that I was checking out Jeffrey's old videos, and Jeffrey has an upload that is Halton ARP's thing. And so Jeffrey's definitely seen and done his research. After that, you got Theoria Apophysis, Ken Wheeler's channel. I'm sure a lot of you already know that, Nature's Secret of Magnetism. After that, you got Eric Lerner's LPP Fusion channel, Dan Winter, who, besides the ufology stuff, definitely brilliant, genius. Not that his concepts about ufology are not brilliant, but I'm not so sold on extraterrestrial civilizations just yet. After that, you got Thunderbolts Project and Buddy James's Donuts video. After that, Electric Universe Eyes, just one of the recent Theories in Rock. After that, Jacob Gable from the Electric View. Jacob Gable did the electric arcing in a laboratory, and talking about electric arcing being part and parcel to geology. It's kind of the stuff that Andrew Hall does. After that, you got Geometric View, which is Tess Clark. Tess was here the other night, and this I'm still working through, but I definitely want to shout out Geometric View. That's Buddy's channel, I believe. After that is See the Pattern, is Gareth's channel. So I'm going to be adding to it. That's what I got so far. There's a lot more, but those are a few. Sounds good, Fantasy. Ellie Wins has liked that glitchy tune. Thanks. I just uploaded. I'm going to play a little bit of this. If it gets too wild, might fade it out, but thank you. All right, so Jay Pershing asked me a fresh question right here. Jupiter really doesn't look bad at all for the 8 and for where it was like 20 minutes ago, pretty blurred out. So I'm going to stick with it, and then I will switch to the moon very shortly after this question. Just so I don't want to lose our moon under the windowsill or over the windowsill. Okay, so Jay Pershing says, here's one. Do you think Uranus or Neptune held prominence in Earth's sky for a time? And if so, when? And if not, is there a reason? So, I think Uranus or Neptune held a prominence in Earth's sky. I'm not sure about that. Honestly, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure if that's the case. I would say that I was watching some of the Jeffrey's videos, and there is one thing that I'm going to talk about when we go to the moon, but how he has a theory about how the moon got its two different types of cratering, like the far side of the moon having a lot of cratering, like insane amount of cratering, but all very small, and also the Aitken Basin kind of centering it. He doesn't talk about that, but the Aitken Basin is still littered with craters, very small craters, compared to the side that we see that is tidally locked. And how he proposes that the Earth, when it was a star Earth, actually captured the moon, and the moon had already been a desiccated Earth for a long time. So the moon is in the range of maybe like, what did you say, like 50 billion years or something like that. So the moon was already a lost Earth, and our Earth, that was a larger kind of star Earth, captured the moon and tidally locked it ages ago. And what happened is its interaction, Earth's interaction with the moon on the side that we see, melted away the surface. He says it very quickly in a short video, and I kind of want to pick his brain about it, but I think it's a brilliant idea. Kind of, what my question would be is, like, is electric arcing involved, where the surface of the Earth as a star with a tidally locked ancient moon is melting the surface of the moon into the shapes that we see via electrical interaction, right? Like intense heat and radiation. And then on the side that's facing the rest of the solar system, essentially the Earth as a star, through gravitational field, through its massive gravitational field, is sucking in all the debris and asteroid belts. And so it would make sense that Earth would be struck with meteor showers as a star, and therefore the side of the moon facing away from us would be littered with craters, but the side facing Earth would be melted away in a more distinct way from Earth. It's a really cool idea, like one of the best things I've heard in a long time. But I would wonder what the melting really is did the Earth end up like creating these cosmic lightning bolts as a star directly to the moon, and that's where we get these crazy shapes on the moon that are much more laser cut and look like electric scarification, as well as meteors, right? Of course, there were probably a ton of meteor impacts as well. But then on the far side of the moon, you get this other type of cratering. It's really interesting. So, let's see. Hot Rod Scott, what's going on? Bo Theory says, I'm tying a lot of their work together. I think you'll dig my videos. Sorry to plug myself, but I'd love to hear your feedback. Absolutely, I'll follow you after this stream. I don't know why it says you can't follow your channel just yet, but I'll do it after the stream for sure. Definitely do it. Anything in this realm, I'm all about, like, open thinking, new ideas, connecting the dots. It's very important because it's complicated. There are complicated topics, and putting 2 or 3 of these together is difficult, and it's even more difficult to articulate it in a simple way that people can understand. So yeah, more power to you. I can't wait to see what you're going to work on. Says my whole so I'm continuing. Bo says my whole theory is based in the lunar mares ejecting material. Interesting. I show how the moon directly shaped the Earth's surface while in low orbit via electromagnetic exchanges. Interesting. What do you think about what I just said, or I mean what Jeffrey was really saying about how as the Earth was a star, it captured the moon, and that's how it kind of created this extreme tethering of electrical. I mean, that would account for the intense melting that we do see. I mean, the moon really does look like that. Not that we can really see the far side, but the pictures show this kind of different type of cratering. And he proposes the same thing for Mercury as well, being that one side would basically be facing towards a star, the other side would be facing space, but the star itself would be sucking in all this debris. Like, one thing I want to make, one analogy I want to make is like, debris falling back into a star is like humans eating. You know, we're eating all the bits of matter around us, and then we process it, so to speak, and the star does the same thing. So Earth would suck in a ton of matter, process it, and create life from it. It's kind of amazing. We got to cross all the streams, exactly. We got a Markland convect. Okay. Jay Pershing talks about the Uranus and Neptune question. So quickly here about that, mostly that I see them now in through the stellar metamorphosis theory that Neptune and Uranus are both water planets on their ways to potentially becoming habitable Earths, right, in another billion, 2 billion years. So watching them as a young Earth is a really great idea, really cool idea for me. The only thing I'll say, like I said, about the Earth being an Earth star and experiencing like what you're saying, which is Neptune and Uranus in the night sky, like as larger planets, maybe is what you're saying. It's hard to say if that's the case, potentially. But you can imagine that also Uranus and Neptune were also both white dwarfs at one point, so extremely large, highly gravitational white or young stars, 10, 20 million years old. Let's see. Bo says, it's possible, but the mass ratio indicated to me it's a fractal ejection of a mass from Earth. You mean what, the entire moon, or just parts of it? All right, little break here just because my neck is starting to get sore already. And we'll play a tune. Please stick around. I'd love to keep this chat going. Let me know if you have any other thoughts. And please, for the next videos, leave comments. I'm trying to respond as quickly as I can. I've been pretty bad about it in the past, but we all get better at some point. At some point. Dark Room's coming in. I can feel like the wind. I can feel like the waves. I can feel. Test. All right, I didn't leave the mic on. Good. It said I did, but I didn't. All right, we got the moon. Jupiter's past the windowsill at this point. So let's check out our Luna, since we're talking about the Luna. I see Hurdy-Gurdy Man, and I see Copper Tropicals. What's going on? Welcome, friends. Welcome, welcome. Wait, NGC, were you talking to me? Let's see. Nope, nope, nope. What did I miss? Lucky your music is so good. Was that aimed at me? Was that an airplane? I think we got an airplane. Check this out. You can tell by the time you see it, you can tell what my latency or buffer is on this. Was that an airplane? Keep an eye on the top. Wow, that is it's like 30 seconds, I guess. Yeah, plane. Nice. Cool. So Bo Theory was talking about something up here about planetary bifurcation. And what was that about? Let's see. You're talking about the Earth ejecting the moon? Is that the idea? I'm trying to read here. Let's see. System expansions lead to ejections from much larger celestial bodies, 1 to 2%, which is why we see universal scaling phenomenon. Astralis says, is the moon a lagoon? It sounds good. The lagoon at the top right corner, that Mare Crisium, could definitely be a lava lagoon. Lava lagoons. Lava Laguna. Let me try and read this Bo Theory thing. Mandelbrot and fractal math, all about that. I have a couple of videos. I need to look into this a little bit. I don't know if I'm getting it exactly. I imagine like cellular mitosis, but are you saying, maybe if you can simplify it, are you saying that ultimately, was the moon a star? One is my question. And two, are you saying that the moon, yeah, maybe simplify it just a little bit for the stream, mostly because I'm not sure I'm getting it exactly. Anyway, I'll check out your channel for sure. I see Timothy Martin, what's going on? There's a small jetliner, indeed. All right, Jay Pershing says, how do you explain the mass ejecta from Earth forming a sphere so close to the, I guess you're talking to Bo there, yeah. So I'm not sure about let's talk quickly a little bit about like what the common mainstream idea is of planetary formation. And this idea that planets form in a protoplanetary disk, which is essentially debris around a central star. And right now, if you look up planetary formation on YouTube or on phys.org or wiki, you'll get this idea presented that essentially stars are one thing and they form in nebular clouds by gravitational collapse and bring material to the center and creating a hot glowing star, and ultimately stars explode. That's sort of the story. I mean, I am simplifying, but that's sort of the story, the narrative. But then in stellar metamorphosis, the idea is that via Markland convection or crossing wires, you get these same sort of events, these stars at the center of nebular clouds that have gravitational collapse, but instead of planets forming in the rings, the protoplanetary rings around the central star by a means of clumping, which is the debris coming together and fusing to get planets of all sorts that we see, doesn't make more sense to me than the idea that along all these arms, everything starts off as a star, or basically a Markland convection spark. That to me seems a little more ubiquitous, and then because then you have the foundation for all the complexity of the different types of phase shifts of planets. You know? Let's see. Copper Drops, yes, airplane. Why don't we see a lot of satellites? It's been so long. I've done so many streams without a single satellite transit in front of the moon, and we have more satellites than ever, right? It's weird. Early on in the streams, like 2016, 2017, right? There was almost a satellite every other show. or some sort of thing. There's some weird ones for sure. Let's see. Oh, Bo, you don't think it was a star. You think smaller bodies are born or bifurcated from larger ones. So I guess I'll have to check out your videos. Yep, I'll have to look. NGC, what did I miss? Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm missing some of your stuff. You said lever, Archimedes. Yeah, Archimedes is, let's see, where is Archimedes tonight? It's pretty faded out. The right side of Mare Imbrium is a little bit fadey tonight. Let me dim it. Get some more detail on it. Interesting phase tonight. I think the main feature for me would be, let's zoom in up top at Mare Crisium and take a look at the Terminator relief, because we're getting the most detail around there. Track coming through. So let me know what you think, or if you clicked on the master references list playlist, or if you missed it and want me to link it again. Feel free to recommend channels that I may have missed. I'm trying to keep it pretty precise to what I kind of talk about on the show, but I will definitely look at other videos that are recommended. All right, just some jams here. All right, just sitting here reading a little bit, keeping the vibe up. I see just a quick question that I'll address is Preston Rouse asked me about the Black Knight satellite, or the Black Knight potential UFO. And I'll give you just a quick answer on UFOs in general, and also the Black Knight satellite photo and videos. I've seen it. It would make more sense that this is actually space debris, and things can fold and look like a certain type of shape. And if you look at it in a certain way with a lot of conspiracy seduction behind it, it's easy to kind of look at it. Like when I first saw it, I'm like, oh wow, it's so cool. Like this must be like a craft, and what's the deal? But if you really kind of put reasoning behind it, you'll realize that mankind has put a ton of spacecraft into space, a ton of satellites into space. Things are like exploding and breaking apart. Debris is falling all over the place. There have been tons of missions with all sorts of different things that have gone wrong. And therefore we have so much space junk up in space at this point that I imagine that you could take 100 different photos of random objects and kind of attribute them to like either a spooky phenomenon or something else. Second part of that is you just wanted to know if there's such things as aliens and UFOs. What I would say is that there are likely aliens, but I don't think they have arrived at Earth in any way. I feel like there are UFOs, but those are all man-made. So maybe that'll answer your question. I feel like aliens possible, but I don't think any of the experiences that people have had, I think any of them have been from actual aliens. Simply because I think aliens that have made it far enough to communicate with Earth would be able to tell Earthlings that they communicate with much higher order information. You know, some of the stuff that we're talking about here. Aliens wouldn't regurgitate mainstream science back to people and also travel interstellar space to get here. The idea that aliens come from other civilizations and decloak their craft in front of people just to mess with them also doesn't make a lot of sense. That's just my thought. But I know a lot of people think they're aliens. Here's a point, I think, a little bit where I differ with Jeffrey. Jeffrey definitely thinks that there are extraterrestrials and potentially that they live under the oceans. And they were here way before mankind. So that's very seductive. It sounds reasonable. Not sure, personally. I feel, again, like it's possible, but I'm not sure. It's difficult to really think about that logically, that you'd have a very advanced race, but they would be selective with who they shared it with. And the fact is, people are just chatterboxes, and not just people, just the universe is a chatterbox. And so if somebody saw something that was legitimate, you'd know it was legitimate. And from all the studies of ufology that I've done, almost none of it sounds legitimate. I mean, almost none of it. From channeling to meeting extraterrestrials to jump rooms to Mars to Wilcock to Stephen Greer, Disclosure Project. Even the stuff that's proposed on the news is stuff that humans have made. But then it's way better for the media to say, ooh, there's still possible that it's aliens. It's way better for them to do that than it is to outright say, yeah, that's the stuff we make. Let's see. So I always take a chance to say that just because, like, as somebody who really was deep into ufology and then got out of that that realm, you realize that it takes up a lot of mental space and brain space and field mind space, and it's difficult to juggle the existence of actual extraterrestrial interstellar civilizations and also study things in a more reasonable, down-to-earth way. It adds a layer of complexity that I think just makes it more challenging. Let's see. So Astralis said, I was half asleep. My Buddhist lecture mentioned not Dan Winter. I'll have to go back and check, but I laughed. Yeah. Can anyone become a Buddha? I think anyone can become a Buddha. And to be a Buddha is just to decide and to become self-aware. Because you know if you're kidding yourself. If you truly feel like you're one with things and you've accepted life, then you are a Buddha. The way it's put, interestingly, by Alan Watts, and rephrasing a lot of koans, but he says, sitting in Zazen, the way people meditate, is how a Buddha sits. You don't sit in Zazen to become a Buddha. So it's a very interesting way of looking at it. Like, you don't actually need to do all these long practices and everything. Anyone can become a Buddha by, I think one of the simplest ways to do it is to look in the mirror and to realize that you made your own body and you made your own mind, and that you know how to work all these intricate parts of your body in ways that you can't even articulate. But there is no other thing. There's no abstract ad hoc concept or patriarchal, matriarchal figurehead that is weaving your body's cells right now. You know, you could say at the quantum level, there's a God mind. You could say at a top level of the quantum fractal, there's a God mind. Not the quantum fractal, but the quantifiable fractal of the universe is a God mind. But we are at a level, an aperture of the God mind, and we ourselves made our own bodies. And as soon as you look at yourself in the mirror and you realize you made an eyeball or two, put it in the right place, and you know how to make it work, you all of a sudden realize that you, of course, are physical embodiment of the God, the entire whole thing. I think that's one of the key proofs here. I mean, among many other things. And then if you imagine that Earth peoples like a tree apples, then Earth create, like we are an extension, like a fur or a fungus, like a mushroom on the surface of a planet called Earth that was once a star. I really need to look into this bifurcation idea. I want to see, I asked Bo a question here about, like, at what stage of development would the moon and the Earth bifurcate? Because you're saying that's what you are proposing. You're saying early stage mostly. Do you believe at all in the fact that Earth? Do you think, not believe, but what do you think about the Earth having been a star? And do you believe, like, what was the moon before it was the moon? I guess I'm just having a discussion. I'm trying to have a little back and forth here. You don't need to, like, soundbite it, but I'm just trying to work it out. Sometimes it's tough in the chat room. But I will check out your channel. Bo says, I read a poem about a Lakota who said Buddha was the wisest because he didn't speak about aliens. Well, you know, you could, because it's very difficult to decide what's an alien, right? You could look at the bottom of the ocean, you could look at insects, you could look at fungus, bacteria, you could look at electron microscopes. What is an alien? You know, you have to decide on, like, and can you trace back what you consider an alien to, let's say, another star system, right? Like, is there a way to prove that for sure? And I think it's very difficult to actually prove that. Bo saying, I think the Earth was a moon of Saturn before. Okay, so that makes sense, actually. I know that's sort of where I was, I think, last year, a couple of years ago, when I was talking to the guys on the Electric View, where the brown dwarf Saturn, which may have been the original star, had Earth and Mars as sister planets, or like twin planets in its sheath. And then there was the purple dawn, and follow that story through. That makes sense to me. It doesn't not make sense, but I don't know exactly. Let's imagine how that might work, you know? And so I don't think it precludes the fact that, like, you could have a star be the precursor to every planet. And I think every planet can be the precursor to every moon. I'm not exactly sure, like, any type of thing can form almost from, like, squeezing out a tube in a way. Like, you know what I mean? The incubation process is almost fully formed. You fully form a string of pearls along a Birkeland filament. That's what humans are. That's what animals are. Insects. It's a string of plasmoids along a short piece of filament. And you can trace life to that organizational structure, and the more complex, in the order of magnitude, you get different types of conscious interactions with the field. So I like the idea. So if we try and tie it with the coil, the tightening of the Thunderbolts Project idea, David Talbot's stuff, where you're trying to essentially have a formation of planets that are stacked on top of one another. I still think stellar metamorphosis works in that context, because on a Markland convection, pearls on a string, stars on a string, or stars on a Birkeland filament, at the beginning of the coil, you might have people on Earth looking upwards and seeing planets kind of overlapping at the polar configuration. It doesn't preclude that logic. And the purple dawn, again, could be within the star Earth. So, let's see. Again, I'm just talking here. Let's see. Preston says, science logic says there are, but if you follow that through, the Drake equation and this idea, it's a very emotional idea about aliens existing. It's like it would be a shame if aliens didn't exist. Out of all the stars and planets out there, they must exist. But what I'm just saying is, like, it's very difficult to say this is a creature that lived on another planet entirely and now is on Earth in a spaceship. And they don't land, they just kind of wave hello to star brothers and star sisters. And only a few gatekeeping people can tell you about it. Only a few gatekeeping people become emissaries and channels and mediums. And only a few people in secret organizations get to access it. And for me, like, life is just not like that. And mastership is not like that. So when you talk to great musicians, there's no gatekeeping. When you talk to great artists, there's no gatekeeping. On the scale of becoming a master, the better you get at something, the more forthcoming you are with the information, not the less they are. And therefore, that's why mainstream science and ufology and many other conspiracy theories on YouTube go to dead ends, because they're all about kind of this myopic vision of proving a single concept versus looking at the whole. It's really that. There's nothing wrong with any one particular, but overarchingly, there are dead ends. And when you find dead ends, you have to reverse and take another course. People just keep smashing their head into dead ends and say, okay, I'm going to keep doing the same wrong thing and expect different results, and that doesn't make sense. Astralis, let's see. Preston says, I guess creation theory is out the window here. Well, in terms of another, like a giant human being creating everything, again, really hard to prove. I think it's more provable to look in the mirror and say, you made your own body and eyes. Therefore, if there is a God, you are likely a version of a God. Versus there's a God and then there's all of other life and stars and planets and humans. It doesn't make sense that something, first of all, because anything you can think of is still within the conscious field. We cannot perceive of a God outside the conscious field, and therefore there's so little proof of that. There's way more proof that we are a fallible God than there is like an abstracted, patriarchal, outside, invisible, non-communicative, also fallible God. Now, could we all live inside a tiny skin cell on a giant human? Definitely, that could be possible. I think that's actually likely. As you go all the way down and you zoom in with an electron microscope on human skin, you keep finding new objects and new life. And if you zoom out into space, you'll keep finding new objects, new life. That makes more sense than only this or only that. Bo says, I'm totally with you on gatekeepers. You know what I'm saying about that? Like chefs, a good chef will tell you all the tricks, right? It doesn't mean that if you're a student of a master, that if a master tells you all the secrets, you'll immediately become a master. But it's a sign of somebody who doesn't know their shit to tell you, oh, you can only know this little bit. Only just this little bit. And the person who knows the most, they told me just a little bit and I can only share this tiny bit with you. Come back next week. You know, like a true master is like, here's the answer. Alan Watts said something really wonderful. He says many, many wonderful things. But one of them is like, he's like, if I were to be really honest with you, you came for this long lecture about what Zen is, He said I could just play a ringtone for you and just kick you out of here in 5 minutes because you're already it. You're the whole thing. You've brought yourself here. You're in total control of the play. But he says, if I did that, you'd feel robbed because really you're here to be entertained by me for 2 hours. And there's a really interesting thinking there because yeah, we do it. We do all of this. Bad and good, right and wrong. We create obstacles in order to challenge ourselves. There is no abstracted other. Or at least there's less proof for that than the fact that you are the abstracted other. What's up, Justin T? Great view. Hell yeah, I just bring it to you. The moon does most of the heavy lifting. So we got the lemon shape up at the top with Mare Crisium looking really cool. And just carrying on some chats here, talking about stellar metamorphosis, consciousness, connecting the dots, and a little bit about ufology and aliens. I tend to do this every couple of weeks where I'm like, aliens are not real. But, definitely could be aliens out there. Just very hard to prove a lot of the stuff that's on YouTube related to aliens. Almost every channel, even the ones that pretend that, oh my God, like giant craft found at Jupiter. It's not. It's just not that. And what's even more interesting from a Zen perspective is you don't need a giant mothership found at Jupiter to be excited about Jupiter. Jupiter itself, the self-realization or just the realization that Jupiter in and of itself is enough to be excited about. We don't need a mothership on top of it to say, oh wow, like super exciting, Jupiter's like cool and everything, but that mothership, yo. And I'm like, that's the same thing with alien bases on the moon. The moon should be enough to inspire wonder. Astralis says, I could promote my whole deal and my knowledge, but Captain already says best, you are God, grow your own eyes. It's true. I appreciate that, Astralis. And your views are most welcome here, of course. I'd love to hear what everybody thinks. But yeah, it's just one little factor of it. But when I heard that, when Alan Watts said that, I was like, yeah, you make your own body. You grow your hair, and you don't know how you do it. And every animal does, and every creature does, even what we perceive as unconscious creatures that are unaware compared to humans, they also know how to make eyeballs. And then morality and ethics don't play into it because, like, the worst person, the most evil person, and the best person also make eyeballs. Babies, birds, these creatures that we look at and we're like, oh, they're so dumb, we're so smart. But they can make eyes and tongues and stomachs, and it all works. It's very simple. Bo says, Alan Watts is great. I got my master's in Buddhism and comparative religion, actually. That's awesome. Amazing. Alan Watts, truly one of the unsung, well, he is actually sung. He's a sung hero. Not very unsung, but it's amazing that we have all his works, or a lot of his works, on YouTube and get to access a brilliantly concise and evocative thinker, and just see him throughout the course of his life, listen to him with other people. I mentioned once there's a video of him with, or just a chat with Timothy Leary and him and Gary Snyder and a couple of other guys, and it's just amazing to hear him interact with other great minds of the time. But Alan Watts, if you take anything away from it, is Tattvam Asi, so that you're it. You do all of this. Why do you do all of this? Because if you were an all-powerful God, you would ultimately have the most benign dream imaginable. So you'd fight all the things, and you'd smoke all the things, and you'd screw all the things, and eventually that would not be enough. And you'd keep having crazier and crazier dreams in order to really enjoy yourself and be surprised and fooled, because that's what the system wants, novelty. And ultimately you dreamed that you were sitting on a riverboat in Sausalito listening to Alan Watts give a lecture, because the most mundane of dreams keeps you dreaming for longer. It's very interesting how he presents it that way, and it just smashes your head apart. You're like, okay, I see what this is all about. And that's what he means by instant enlightenment. You don't have to go sit in Zazen for 30 years, because you might sit in Zazen for like in yogic pose for 30 years and still not achieve enlightenment. So there's no guarantee there. Preston says, I didn't make my eyes. I didn't know how. So I would ask you, besides you right now, who is actually growing, like what person or entity that is not you is growing your hair right now, right? You're growing your own hair and your own skin cells and changing them, and you're digesting food. If I asked you to articulate how you're seeing anything with your eyes, you probably couldn't tell me. But it doesn't mean that you're not actually doing it. In physical reality, the consensus reality is that humans are actually capable of things they can't even explain, but it doesn't automatically create an invisible, like not an invisible, it doesn't automatically create another entity that is pulling your strings, unless you decide that. What's more logical is that you are actually the one that has hairs coming off your body, and therefore you're growing those hairs. And one can learn the chemistry and biology and electromagnetics and all the things that come along with growing hairs, and ultimately articulate how you grew eyeballs and how you grew hairs. It's not like you can't get there, but the ultimate answer to the greater question is that yes, you did it, not another person or being. Or it's way more likely that you did it. Astralis says, of course, it was Tim Leary. Well, it's a rare video because I don't know if I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure all of you have heard Alan Watts a little bit or a lot, but he talks about Gary Snyder in such high regard. I mean, Jung, of course, too. He talks about Carl Jung and some others, but I think he was really good friends with this guy named Gary Snyder, and he was intrigued by him. He was kind of a muse for him. So it's cool to see him in context with Gary Snyder and Tim Leary. And I'm just escaping who this other guy is. I think he's another... was it Allen Ginsberg? I think it might have been Ginsberg. Did you say Ginsberg? Am I crazy? Wait. Yeah, it might have been Allen Ginsberg, actually, the writer, poet, the beat. Holy, what's going on, Jelly? Holy jelly, please. Holy jello. Yeah, let's get some tunes in here. Thanks, NGC. I see ya. I'll see ya. Electric Blood.
I've been waiting on the street for days. Don't treat me like a fool. I've been sleeping on the street for days. Don't treat me so cruel. I've been waiting on the porch for days. Don't treat me like you're cool. I've been waiting on the sea for years. I've been waiting for the secret all along. And you know what brings it? Don't you know what soul can sing? Singing about this dream so long for you. I've been dreaming about the song. So long for you. I've been singing about the song. So long for you. I've been dreaming about the one with you. I've been singing about this dream. So long for you. Till I see the color of your eyes reflected in the picture I made for you. Oh no. If you know what brings it, and you know what soul can sing to me, that you know what brings it. So we gotta go. It's what what's got an electric love, jumpers in your, but you know what's shared. people of the street, people of the waste, and no one replies. I see you through the headlights and all my disgraces fall away. I'll build a branch someday, then come our train, station away to find your mama. Brain acquisitions sold at the bitter end, scanning fine features down at the village inn. And Nightmare on Prince found you in Triangle Park, dark subway in the bar on Houston. Yeah, on Houston. I don't wanna fall asleep no more, just waiting for this train at Prince and Houston. Say I don't wanna follow shit no more, just get me to the rain at Prince and Houston. I don't wanna fall asleep no more, just waiting for a train at Prince and Houston. I don't wanna follow shit no more, just get me to the rain at Prince and Houston. Fall asleep into the dreams we ever flown, find ourselves above the walls. Told you everything, saw it and everything. To the stream we ever flow and find ourselves above the walls. Humans in the wind, humans in the ring. Even if I'm willing to help me, I haven't got a clue for myself. I'm slowly up and down, up and popping. I see you on the street once again. Coming after me when you're riding so near to me. I believe we can feel that to the wind, so I feel the way I feel to you. Oh, still be on the and still I found my way back to you. And still I found my way back to you. It's in my soul, it's in my mind. I can't appeal to your wisdom, but your foolish heart don't believe Still the streets are filled with people that refuse. Don't feel. Whoops, playing that song again. That song's playing again. Oh yeah. I see Preston heading out. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Always good to be able to consider
several ideas at once, even if you want to stick with your own belief systems, so no problem. Hurdy-gurdy man says piezo photography like Kirlian, Kirlian, Kirlian photography, or electroplate photography. You can see the filaments around the human skin, or at least our human skin sac, so to speak. You can see it around apples, plants. This is, let me see if I can just pull up an image here while we look at the moon. Kirlian photography. It's pretty obvious that we are electrical beings from when you see this sort of thing. I really wonder about all these copyrighted images lately. Damn. Anyway, you can look it up, Kirlian photography with a K. And, was that another airplane? Let's see, I keep missing it. So yeah, little filaments around the body, along at a right angle to the skin as like normals on a surface in a 3D model. And then you have all these filaments leading out to bigger and bigger and bigger filaments like lightning bolts, and then ultimately planetary lightning bolts. Makes sense fractally, scalar-wise, that this is how things would be connected in the invisible air around us, actually through connectivity, connective tissue. Oh, right, I heard you were talking about the occipital swirl. Now I remember you wrote this thing about the hair. Really interesting. I need to get back to that, actually. You gotta, everybody forgive me about, sometimes I'll read something and it's complicated and I need to get back to it and really read it a bunch of times. Even if I kind of grasp it, I like to like check all the different, I don't know, it takes time. But yeah, I did see that the way the hair grows on the top of the head, right, it turns into this golden mean spiral. I mean, it's outlining essentially the human biofield or the human toroidal flux that is running from a Birkeland filament through the top of our head all the way through our feet into the earth ground. The same way a hair is plugged into the ground, and then along a hair, which is a tiny little micro Birkeland filament, a hair is coalesced or gravitationally collapsed to the center of this Birkeland filament. Therefore we have, it's like the stem of an apple outlines the Birkeland filament running into the apple, into the seeds. NGC says, if you turn your head to the right, you can see the bunny. Yeah, I see the bunny, but I really see the wolf more than the bunny. I always see the wolf. Wolf is pretty easy. If I tilt my head to the right, I don't know, like, what people's conception of bunnies are. You know what I mean? That's, I think, why I find it so difficult. And I feel like everybody else besides me is like, the bunny, that's the only thing I see. That's the main thing. Why don't you see it, blind person? But, no. I think I see it, though. With the head and the ear as Mari Crisium. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. NGC, I read that as universal mind lettuce. Because I'm thinking about bunnies now. Like the universal mind lettuce. Lettuce or lattice. It's fine. But yes, the universal mind lattice structure, because if you look at electron microscope photos of atomic structure, of really anything electron microscope, you'll see that there is structural, either circle packing, hexagonal, tight hexagonal nesting, and it's fractally all the way up and down. And why does this happen? You realize because the universe is trying to reach the lowest point of energy, and the strongest point, the lowest point of energy, ends up being nested hexagonal shapes, or rather nested primitive geometrical shapes, right, as circles collapse on each other. Now, Buddy was talking about it interestingly, like, not interestingly, but as a fundamental donut shape, or as a toroid, as tori, nested toruses. And I think that's also, I just want to say that that's definitely a way to describe it. I tend to describe it a little bit like Ken Wheeler describes it, where he talks about the the torus, the donut, but also the pinched plasma tube in the middle, the hypotrochoid, or the hourglass shape that is what I think is really houses the counter-rotating cylinders that we see in a lightning rod or a lightning bolt, or really a cosmic Birkeland current. You see the sheath, which is a tube, a Birkeland, basically like when you look at a plug or a wire, the cabling, or if you look at your arm, a cross-section of a human limb or a tree, you'll see these kind of nested layers, bone at the center, then flesh, and then skin, and then field, or hair, then field, then further field. And it's the same way with planets, and the same way with atoms of hydrogen. NJC says about the rabbit, when I look up, I don't have to try, it's just there, not tilted heads. Yeah, like I said, it's literally one of those shapes on the moon that completely I have a blind spot for. I can see all sorts of different things. I see like the guy with the glasses, the wolf, the bird, all the different, the butterfly shapes, the small faces. Think about rabbit, and I'm like, what's the moon? Complete blind spot. Esoteric Gold says, think, 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 think. Kaboom. Shit, just blew a fuse. Well, I think the spark of an idea, right, is the same as the spark that creates a star, or a star in a way, like if we were to really take it further, stars create themselves, or the universe itself creates sparks, and these sparks we attribute, from our perspective as humans, as stars. That's really, I think, the better way to put it, because fundamentally, the floor of everything, as far as we know it, not like this is the ultimate floor, but the floor, I think the most logical, presumptive, ultimate floor is perception. Because without perception, there is really nothing beyond perception, and therefore that is the floor. I guess I've been looking at crypto a lot, but the floor is the ultimate bottom. But if you flip it on its side symmetrically, it's also the ultimate top. So the pico top and the very bottom of the trough and the crest of the wave, this is two sides of the same coin, and therefore it's Roger Rabbit. I'm just reading the chat here. Haven't thought of Roger Rabbit in a long time. But definitely now I want to call an album The Universal Mind Lettuce. All right, let's play another tune here. So I'm sticking with the moon. It's looking pretty sharp. Let's zoom in here to Mare Crisium. Like I said, I've completely reneged on well, I haven't. I've just been lazy about it. But let's go do it and play some. What should we play here? Also, I'm gonna surprise you with something.
From a long and weird distance, lies traveling away from me. Now we decide on a new mission. Count our stars on through the trees. Ooh, like breeze upon the water. Dark breeze upon the water, and we all stand there, oh, like we're bound to another heart-swung wind. So let's make peace with each other. Bring this rain in, find us, find your light. Bring us to bring them to the side. I used to dream from inside. I need to bring love for our life, like breeze upon the water.
All right, just want to talk a tiny bit just because I got a close-up shot and the moon's about to start getting out of view for me, maybe another 15 minutes, so let's do that. 12:35 a.m. I've kind of stopped giving log records of where we are and where the moon is and altitudes and stuff like that in the show, I've realized. But that's what it is now. We're talking a lot more about concepts and theories, bringing it all together. Better connections tonight, more articulate, more concise, and thinking about everything, but also taking a path here to get all the great little gems from all the other theories, bring them all under one roof. I'm going to paste the link again to the Master References playlist. If you've already seen all this stuff, please share it with somebody who might like it, because it, again, pulls together excellent people. Jeffrey Walensky, Eileen McCusick, Sky Scholar, Unzicker, Dyslexic Artist, Halton Arp, Ken Wheeler, Eric Lerner, Dan Winter, Buddy James, Electric Universe Eyes, Jacob Gable, See the Pattern, and the Geometric View, Buddy. So, and I'll add a lot more to it as time goes. So looking here at Mare Crisium under the Terminator, cutting it almost right in half like a lemon under shadow. It looks like a lemon because a lemon is also formed along the same fundamental geometry and outlines, or actually is the shell really of a plasmoid of the seeds of a lemon, because that's how you can take a lemon off a tree and then go plant it somewhere else, and it has all the information of a tree inside the center of the lemon. So there. Let's see. We also got the little eyelets, little micro craterlets, Pearson Picard, excuse me. And then a cool little Birkeland filament wiggle at the mouth. And then we got Proclus, this micro craterlet. Second, I think who was telling me? Dale? No, was it Dale? Gosh. Damn, I should remember. But one of the cats who comes and visits the channel sometimes told me that actually, what were we saying? Aristarchus is the brightest spot versus Proclus. Either way, Proclus and Aristarchus being the two bright craters. But I feel like Aristarchus really must take the cake here. It wasn't Dale, it was somebody else. It'll come to me. You can see, of course, Cleomedes to the top left. I know that kind of sounds funky, but that's the crater to the top left of Mare Crisium. And then bottom left would be Sea of Tranquility, Mare Tranquillitatis. Hurdy-gurdy says Vesica Pisces. Vesica Pisces. Visca Pisces. I like that. NGC says, needs more mountains if it was a planet first. Final word, sorry, not sorry. So, did you hear earlier about the idea that Earth star captured the moon after the moon was desiccated, and then the surface of the moon was ablated? So I wonder if you have just layers and layers and layers of the moon being melted off and wasted away as it's tidally locking Earth star. And over time, this is why we get the different arrangement between the basaltic flats and the highlands, but also everything seems to have been kind of whittled down, almost as if it was shaved away. So mountain peaks are not as tall or as sharp as they once were. Surface features are whittled away down to like almost rubbed off like a, what are they, the word is escaping me right now, but like sandpaper, like sanded down. So I've thought about that recently, but this idea that that Jeffrey is talking about, I'm going to ask him to maybe elaborate if he's listening. Be great to hear his thoughts on the surface of the moon versus the far side of the moon where the Earth star would be attracting tons of space debris, and therefore you would actually potentially have a bombardment of meteors. Like right now in the mainstream, there's no real reason that the moon was bombarded with a late heavy bombardment. There's just absolutely there's no propositional logic, right? They just say it happened. But what Jeffrey's saying is that stars basically eat comets and debris and asteroids because of the gravitational pull of stars, and as any dust and debris come through, just like food for humans, anything within the vicinity gravitationally or electrically gets captured and gets sucked into the star. So if that's the case, right, then all the debris coming towards Earth as a star would become that bombardment that hit the far side of the moon. Like, really, that actually becomes very logical. Is it pulling me back? Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But anyway, yeah, please, like, wow, look at this sharpness right now. It's cray. I'll keep going around. I'm going to stick with this a little bit, but we'll keep going, check out other features. Yeah, let's run the song.
Now my mind is wide open. trillion bright lights. Where the hell are you? Oh, my heart is wide open, wide open, wide open. Traveling to a million far sights. Don't twice, feel right, no device. Calling, are we reaching the moon? I'm drifting on the shores of embryo. Calling, are we reaching the moon? I'm drifting on the shores of Chrysia. Hello, hello, hello. Is anyone there? And I know just what to do. Saw them was cool, and I know just what to do. The feeling is cool, and I know just what to do. When you left, it was cool by me. Calling, are we reaching the moon? I'm drifting on the shores of embryo. I love, I love, I love. Shores of Chrysia.
All right, hopping in here. Say what's up to Miguel. What's going on? You're a little bit late, but good to see everybody hanging out for a little late night stream here. Midnight Moon. Just scribbled a tiny bit here on Serenity and Tranquility. You can see very clearly the pentagon hexagon formation. Also some great detail leading into Chrysium up at the top. I have the contrast pulled pretty hard. That's why we're barely seeing any Chrysium in there. The sharpness was ridiculous just a few minutes ago, but I feel like it's drifting in and out. So I'm going to let it settle here, and we'll start wrapping it up shortly. My neck is pretty sore, and it's been a very tight show tonight. Good one. Speaking of sore shoulders. We're going to follow the Artemis stuff, keeping an open mind about that. Hope it works. Do I know where it's going to land? Well, the first Artemis, I think, is a test run. And the next ones, I think they haven't announced exactly where they've decided to land. I imagine it's somewhere new. And it's probably on the... Well, I think actually, what am I saying? I feel like it's potentially at the South Pole, actually, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But there's several different locations spotted. I think one is in a couple of months we're going to get an orbiter, and then we're going to see if this Artemis mission happens in the next, before the year is up. So I will be tracking it. As soon as it happens, I'll definitely do a show, and we'll chat about it. So again, the importance here of the pentagon-hexagon formation is just to show that lunar geology can look like molecular structure and latticing. Also, the idea of a pentagon into a hexagon is order, entropy into neg entropy, or order into chaos. In the mudra, from the mudra standpoint, creating the way our fingers come together when we meditate or when we work on anything, really, in a lot of different sports and music. But yeah, let the image settle here. You can see the different compositions of the Mare, or the Maria rather, between serenity to the left, tranquility to the right. Really, really cool. It never ceases to amaze me. Let's do some willpower to keep the vibes.
Do you know why I've been beaten from the heart? I know, no lie. I've been thinking about you all night. Why? No why. I've been waiting for your white light. No why. I've been thinking that you should be mine. So call me up, and let's get down. So call me up, and let's get down. Oh, you send me messages across the cosmic network, and you send me pictures from across the astral plane, and you send me cryptic kisses across the matching network. So call me up, and let's get down. So call me up, and let's get down. Je t'attends, mon amour incertuel, assis dans mon canapé cinéma, achetant la plus éternelle, avec Kronos son billet. Je suis là même, ton avant l'aider chaque jour. Je t'attends, mon amour, avec les mecs sans agréé. Et c'est mon âme magnétique, c'est l'amour magnétique, c'est mon amour magnifique. Cool running. Sleep taught me to dream so high enough. Sleepless beats. My dreams taught me to feel so tired. Sleepless beats. Energies of my dreams taught me to dream so high enough. I see you and me together, wrapped around my head instead. I felt you on the surface of the moon. They said I'm dead until you know my dream, as none of us will always be waiting for them to wake up eternally. Let's get pushing on up this burn. Sleepless beats. My dreams are made to feel so tired. Sleepless beats. My dreams are made to dream so high enough. Sleepless beats. My dreams are made to feel so tiny. Sleepless beats.
Oh yeah, vibing hard right now. Just enjoying this view with y'all. Listening to tunes, watching Copernicus, Kepler, Aristarchus, and this amazing configuration. Like, whatever you believe in terms of impact or electric scarring or volcanism, the three ideas we have for the features on the moon. Now this other one being that the Earth basically melted this side of the moon because it captured it as an Earth star. Like that idea a lot. And yeah, it's annoying how we have a lot of blurriness, but in between it, these little moments of clarity are phenomenal. Like hundreds of shows now, ranging into the 700-800 shows, and it still blows my mind every time. All this crazy detail that we get to see. Again, impact or not, filamentary action, so much cosmic geometry, fractal geometry, Pythagorean geometry between the three of these craters, these features. The hexagonal nature of Copernicus to the top right, the diamond nature of Aristarchus with the brightest crater on its corner, its vertex. And then you have as well under Kepler, the smallest of the craters, you have a much larger kind of diamond, very clear diamond shape, trapezoidal diamond shape underneath as a subsurface feature. Interestingly, right? Almost looks like it's unrelated, but it's crazy. And then, yeah, if you almost squint, it looks like a stellar network, and it also looks like clouds, Esoteric says. Why, all you see is the clouds. What else would it be? And actually, yeah, when you squint, it definitely looks like clouds on the right. But these centers look like nebular clusters when we see the idea of what the universe is, so imprinted upon the surface of the moon, the entire cosmos. All right, let's keep going with the tunes here. Sky Don't Lie, penultimate song. Oh, wow, look at this crazy detail coming in. All right, y'all, let's groove. Still with the Luna. All right, friends, space fam, new friends, old friends, lurkers and such, and everybody catching this tomorrow or whenever you may catch this. Hope you're doing great and having an amazing day or night. So that's my windowsill up at the top of the screen. That means the curtains are drawing upwards, or the curtains have been drawn and my play is moving into them. Very literally. Really appreciate everybody going on these journeys with me while I blab and ramble away about theories. Definitely check out the playlist I posted. I'm going to post it one more time in case this is what you clicked on. I don't know how to do the YouTube thing as good as other people's, but here's my playlist of smart people's. Okay, we got our moon. Amazing views tonight. I think really some of the sharpest shots I've seen in a while, but also like it's a great phase, but not perfect consistency tonight. Saw some Jupiter early on. If you missed it, go back to the beginning, check it out. A little bit of detail on Jupiter, our brown dwarf in the stellar metamorphosis concept. Loving stellar metamorphosis, generally speaking. Still learning about it. Follow Jeff Walensky, and or at least give the theory a spin, a fair shake. Can't hurt to discover new things. Jeff left me a comment kind of lamenting that fact that just people are so up in arms about new things, like somehow if you entertain a new idea that all of a sudden it's going to hurt so badly to like just think about something new, or that your initial beliefs are so flimsy that if you hear something that disagrees with them, that all of a sudden your whole world is going to be shattered. Now, it's so, like, it's such a, what I was going to reply was, like, which I did reply. I mean, I've been facing that on my channel, on this channel for a long time. There's always one or two detractors that are just, like, pointing fingers and mocking the fact that I talk about this stuff. But I think it just comes with the territory. It's a little bit of tomfoolery, the little bit of wiggle in everything, that little bit of imperfection in things. Trolls kind of come with the territory if you're talking about anything interesting at all. I mean, trolls come with the territory regardless, but either way, most of y'all are super cool, and I appreciate everybody's vantage point, regardless of whether we agree or not. And thanks for sharing thoughts in the chat and the comments. Please leave me comments. This is the only thing I ask. Nobody, I never say subscribe or like, but I do say try and leave me comments, because it actually inspires topics for subsequent videos. All right, I'm a little tired, everybody, but let's pick one more song, let the moon fade out. Another TakeBackSpace trip in the books, in the records, in the field. Let's do Dreamboat, because I like that one. And I'll catch y'all maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Or the day after. Definitely another night with Jupiter when it's clear, and we'll try and go with the 11-inch. All right. Track incoming. No, that's not the right one. How about this one? All right, Mr. Captain signing off. I'll catch y'all very soon.